Evening, everyone. My name is Gay Jones, and I'm chair for the Cordova CPAC. It looks like we have 13 participants, some staff and members of the council, and perhaps others. So I hereby call our meeting to order. And to start it off, let's just start with the pledge right away. So if you're able to stand, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, thanks, everybody. Almost as good as a ball game. Here we go. Hey, I would please respectfully ask the clerk to do a formal roll call.
Yes. Member Garcia, Member Haven, Member Lineback.
Here.
Member Mitchell, Member Stoll.
Here.
Member Thomas.
Here.
And Chairperson Jones.
That's fine. I answered to a lot of stuff. No worries.
And you have a quorum. Would you like me to read the announcements?
Yes, would you please read the announcements for the benefit of our public potential here?
Yes. In compliance with directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed to in-person public participation. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, callers will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. Send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net, and your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. And that concludes my announcements.
Thank you for those CPAC announcements. I'm not sure who's on the call, but I think we can quickly go through introductions with our members. I'll start. My name is Gay Jones. I'm chair of CORPAC, and I live in the Butterfield Riviera East Community Association area. Mr. Thomas, would you like to go next, please?
My name is Maurice Thomas, and I represent Mather.
Thank you, Member Thomas. And Mr. Stahl.
My name is Chris, and I represent the Gold River area.
Thank you, Mr. Stahl. And Ms. Leinbach?
Yes, I'm Terry Lineback, and I represent the Rosemont area.
All right. Thank you all very, very much. We're getting through the checks there. We have two projects before us tonight. The first one is the Bradshaw Road McDonald's drive-through. And I am, because my view, I don't know if a representative from that applicant, the applicant is on the line or not, and wishes to start. If not, I'll have staff do the overview for the project in front of us.
This is Jessica Brandt with Sacramento County Planning, and staff does have a presentation, although I'm happy to have the applicant go first if you'd like.
I'm sorry, this is Darrell with the clerk of the board. I can go ahead and officially read the item into the record, and then we just actually put up the presentation for planning.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
So I'm going to read the item into the record. So it's going to be. Thank you. You're welcome. Bradshaw Road McDonald's drive-through, located at 3560 Bradshaw Road in the Cordova community. Request for a conditional use permit and design review.
Okay, and just a point of information, do we have an applicant or a representative for this item on the call now?
Yes, we do have an applicant for item number 1 on the call.
Okay, well, since you have it set up for staff, let's go ahead and do staff and then the applicant. And if there are any questions from my fellow members, we can ask staff about the presentation. And then following the applicant's presentation, we can have questions for him or her. So staff, Jessica, please begin.
Okay, so once again, Jessica Brandt, Senior Planner with the Planning and Environmental Review Office. Obviously, I'm not Desiree Fox. I'm filling in for her tonight because I have some familiarity with the Two Sisters Recycling as well. So I'm kind of covering this one, but Michelle Nagao will do a presentation on Two Sisters when that item is up. So this is the Bradshaw Road McDonald's drive-through. Next slide, please. So the project is located on the southwest corner of Bradshaw and Old Placerville Roads, obviously in Cordova. Their request is a conditional use permit to allow modifications to an existing single-lane McDonald's drive-through that has amplified sound, but is located less than 300 feet from a residentially zoned parcel, and to turn it into a double-lane drive-through. Next slide. So as I mentioned, the site is developed already with an existing 4,262 square foot McDonald's restaurant with the single lane drive-through. Surrounding land uses, you have duplexes to the west and north. West, there's actually a shared property line, and the north they're across Old Placerville. You have to the east a drive-through restaurant across Bradshaw. And then to the south, an auto repair shop. The site has an existing wooden fence and a block wall along the western property line, the one that's shared with the RD10 zone property. And there is the request does include the fence and the wall are proposed to remain as is. There is a 6-foot wide landscape planter that runs adjacent to the western property line, and it does widen to approximately 30 feet for a portion of that shared property line. Next slide. It's a little hard to see here, but this is the proposed site plan. The only real change is to the configuration of the drive-through lane into 2 lanes. What they'll end up doing is having the 2 initial lanes that go to the order boxes, the squawk boxes as we call them, and menu boards, and then they will merge into 1 lane in order to do pickup of food. Other than that, much of the site is to remain as is. Next slide. This is a landscape plan that was provided. I believe that the applicants had provided us a kind of late update to the landscape plan that showed the full site and the landscaping on the full site, and then that was sent to the CPAC representatives for review. I want to say yesterday, so it's fairly new. And but for the most part in this area, I believe the landscaping is roughly the same between the 2 plans, although the applicant can speak to that when they have their turn in front of the CPAC members. Maybe there are some specifics that I missed on looking at the 2 plans. But this is roughly what you have here. The new plan also gives a little more definition to all of the landscaping, including that area that goes from the 6 feet on the western property line out to a 30-foot buffer. Gives a little more definition to what's in there as well. Next slide. So key points. The current use was established in 1996. This was prior to our current zoning code requirement that drive-throughs with amplified sound be located more than 300 feet from residential zoning districts or go through a use permit process. So that's why with this change expansion to their drive-through and ordering system, they're having to come through the use permit process now. The proposed speaker boxes will be located less than 100 feet from the RD10 zoning district to the west. Again, that's why they're in front of you today. There are the following upgrades, which is adding that additional drive-through lane, and then the addition of new drive-through equipment, so digital menu boards, resale boards, kind of like advertisement boards, replacement of their clearance bars, and replacement of the order canopy. Next slide. And so this is just one of the items that they'll be placing on the site. This is a clearance bar that would go in front of the two lanes for folks to come through. And you can see the height relative to a standard person, I guess. Next slide. And again, it's a little challenging to see here, but you can see how they're modifying the drive-through lanes in order to get the drive-through lane in order to get the two lanes. And really it's more kind of eating into some existing landscaping. It's not required landscaping area, but it is carving out that lane. I don't believe the additional lane will impact their parking area, and it will not impact any of the perimeter landscaping. And I believe that might be the end of the presentation. Doral, can you go one more? Is that it?
Yes, that's it. I'm sorry.
That's it. All right. So that is the end of staff's presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Jessica. Please, fellow members, just speak up if you have any questions or comments.
I had one question. Is this part of a larger, is the whole McDonald's also being remodeled, or is it just a change to the drive-through?
If there is a remodel to the McDonald's, it's not a component of this use permit. The use permit is just for this drive-through change. I would probably defer to the applicant on that if there's also a remodel to the actual building area.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was curious about the. Oh, I'm sorry, Chair Jones. So this is Member Lineback. I was concerned about two lanes going into one. Is there anything there to warn one driver a driver in one lane and a driver in the second lane that they're entering a single lane at the same time?
That is a very good question. Again, I think that's something for the applicant. I would imagine they have some system there, a hold or lights maybe. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know.
Are there other? I'm sure there are, but you guys have obviously seen this request before from other McDonald's, correct? Because I mean, a lot of other McDonald's already have this.
We've seen it quite a bit, just in general. I've seen it for other drive-throughs, like Dutch Brothers uses this system. Well, they'll have that dual lane that'll go into the single lane, and yeah, I would imagine it works operationally, which is why we're kind of going for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris, this is Gay, and I've seen these dual things any number of places in our area, in the region. So it's not like some brand new concept. I have a couple questions, but they might also need to be answered by the applicant. And some of these previous questions should be addressed by the applicant as well. So why don't we keep our questions now? We'll hear from the applicant, and then we'll re-ask the old ones and some new ones. So who for the applicant is here, please?
Yes, this is Hala Ibrahim. You hear me? This is Hala Ibrahim with PMDG Architects.
Thank you. Your audio is a little garbled, but please proceed. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, that's good. 1 second. Yeah, so we are the architects helping McDonald's develop this property. Jessica did a very good job on explaining the scope. The scope for this use permit is to add a second drive-through lane, and the development will be within the curb and not affecting the parking lot. This will enhance the experience, the customer experience, and McDonald's been doing this all over for all their sites when it's allowed, when they have the area and the circulation, or the area they can expand, because adding a second lane, meaning pull the cars in, no stacking, and at the same time decreasing the time of waiting for the customer. And on this particular side, this will help on not making the car stack all the way back in the parking area. The questions that I heard regarding the if the building will be or if the site going to be upgraded, yes. So first of all, as part of this use permit, we are going to upgrade the landscape in the area, and per the code, we are adding ADA path of travel to Placerville Road. There is one. There is an existing one to the other street that we are upgrading. So McDonald will upgrade the whole site per ADA requirements, 100%. The building also gonna be upgraded, the elevations, the dining area, but it's under different permit, not the use permit. And we are gonna provide under this permit the parking, the bicycle parking, and the bike lockers as per code. The menu boards for the for the drive-through going to be the digital menu boards. They're very flexible. You could control everything in it, from lights to sound, and it's really high technology. And in addition, they're gonna have all these brand marking, leading the cars through the site to the drive-through and out. And the question regarding the merge, yes, there we have studies about how the two cars can merge. We have standards how the car and which one gonna be going first. We have the primary lane and the secondary lane, and then the width of the drive aisle will, with the merge point, it cannot fit one. It has to be one car there. So that's how they control it. So no two cars can be be in the same area. So one car has to wait until the other car passes, and that's what we call that's what in the merge point. Now the other question. Not sure what was the third one. Anyhow, is there any questions? I mean, pretty much the planner did a very good job on explaining the scope.
I know I have a couple questions, but
Sure.
I don't want to miss any one of my fellow members. Is there a question that hasn't been answered that was previously asked?
I'm not sure if this was answered, but and this is member Thomas. How do you think this? How much do you think this will lower traffic?
Lower traffic meaning stacking?
Correct. From because I do see traffic in the streets a lot, and it seems like it's because of the single lane.
Yes.
So with that, since there's now two, Was there a study as far as how it will reduce the traffic?
Yes, the double drive-through per McDonald's studies, they are 24% more, increases 24% more than the single drive-through on service.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. The other thing that McDonald's is doing to expedite and make the experience goes fast, they have other things they're doing. So first of all, they have these they call the pull forward parking, which for large orders they just send them to the parking, and then McDonald's worker will bring the food outside. So nobody wait for like large orders. And then they have the mobile orders. That's the same thing. They can just drive to these parking, and they can be served as a pickup. And then they do have the other thing is the distance between the cash window and the presenter window, where they pick up the food. There is a space for a car. So with all these stuff, they're always adding thing to make the experience go, for the customer go fast. And it's taking about 3 minutes from the order to the pickup window, to the food pickup window. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, definitely this is going to be pulling more cars in, and it helps on enhancing the site circulation design for the site plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so are you saying that it will increase traffic or lower traffic?
It's going to be ease. That's how it is. It's like instead of people talking, and then it will, probably if it's in the parking lot, then it will block the circulation. With the double drive-through, you don't have that.
Okay,
It's
so it allows the
experience
traffic to flow.
is good. I mean the traffic gonna be the same, but the circulation is gonna be better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean the store will keep getting the same amount, but the experience going to be better, the circulation and the service.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
No, thank you, Maurice. I had that same question about load capacity, and 25% increase is significant. They'll be able to stack and load vehicles, customers on their property, not in the street. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Do any of my other fellow members have any other questions? I realize there's a time delay, so I'll just kind of meander for a second or two here. I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to this McDonald's and I cannot remember. As we're looking at these plans, we have a driveway on the left and a driveway on the right. The one on the right is sort of more curvy. Which is the existing driveway, Ms. Ibrahim?
Which is the existing driveway? Oh, within. So it's, to tell you the truth, we're going to be replacing. I mean, the existing one will be a little bit with the primary one, which is the one to the right. If you're looking at the drive-through layout right now, the one to the right is the main. It's the one. It's closer to the one. It's not exact, but that was the one that it's now there.
Oh, okay. So the additional carrying capacity is going to be for the reconfigured new driveway on the left.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then I have another question about this sound business, and I don't know if it would be the applicant or a question for staff. Now, are the quote unquote squawk boxes. They're less than 300 feet right now, correct?
Yes.
So is there going to be a significant, is the sound going to be significantly closer to existing residences?
Okay, so they call it the CODs, the customer order canopies.
Okay.
They're all digitals, and then they have control over the sound at night and the daytime. But right now, it's the same location. So right now, there is a speaker, and it's the same location.
Well, that's what I was getting at. It looks like it's not like something's encroaching 200 feet. It's always been 100 feet or less.
Yes.
Okay. Madam Clerk, have we received any comments from neighbors or the public on this?
Can I ask one question, Gay, real quick?
Oh,
this is Chris.
Of course.
Real quick, just on that same thing. So the customer ordering devices that is currently there, are new ones being installed, new more modern ones being installed with new canopies?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to just make sure. Yep.
Yes, everything gonna be new, and they're all gonna be digital, and they're modern, they're high tech. They can control anything, lighting, sound, everything.
Perfect. Thank you.
And thanks for drawing out that clarification, Chris. I appreciate that. Again, were there any comments from the public, Madam Clerk?
No, there are no verbal comments at this time for item number 1.
Okie dokie. Well, it looks like this is something that we'll take a vote on. Is that correct?
Yes.
This item, oh wait. Oh, that's number 2. All righty. Well, I'll entertain a motion for approval of, or not, of the modifications to the McDonald's on Bradshaw Road.
And I'll second.
Well, I was asking for, okay, we can do it that way.
Oh, I wasn't sure if we were doing it. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the chair has somebody else do all that, but I can go with that flow. Is that appropriate enough language for the motion, Madam Clerk?
Yes, so that was a motion by Chairperson Jones and a second by Member Stoll, and that was to approve. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Please call the roll.
Member Garcia? Member Haven? Member Linebeck?
Yes.
Member Mitchell? Member Stoll?
Yes.
Member Thomas?
Yeah.
Member Jones?
Aye.
And your motion carries with members Garcia, Haven, Mitchell being absent.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to our second item, Two Sisters Recycling Certificate of Non-Conforming Use. If there's further delineation on the announcement for that, Clerk, would you please take care of it?
No, that is correct. It's going to be item number 2, which is Two Sisters Recycling Certificate of Non-Conforming Use. This is an informational item, and there is no PowerPoint for this, just an FYI.
Yeah. Now, I have a technical question now. This item is not subject to vote by the CPAC, and is that because it is, because the planning director is the final hearing body, which is a lower threshold than the zoning administrator from the first item? Is that how we interpret this?
I believe planning staff can answer that question.
I'm going to defer that one to Jessica. This is Michelle McGow.
Already, Michelle?
Well, no, but Jessica,
yep.
This is...
So this is, let me give you a little background on this one. This is a certificate of non-conforming use request for a convenience recycling center. And this is one that you may have actually acted on in the past. This is one where we put a sunset clause on the last time it came through, asking for a certificate of non-conforming use. And the reason this is a non-voting item is that it is the planning director determination. Often these certificates are only subject to notice with a 300-foot notice to neighbors or property owners. But when there were some changes made to the zoning code a few years back regarding recycling centers, part of the discussion was that they should still come to the CPAC as a discussion item and be noticed with that 500-foot radius, so that the CPAC and the public can provide comments and inform potential conditions on the certificate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why this is here before you today. This is basically a renewal request. And again, it's not a voting item, but it is up for discussion. And we have received public comment on it, both for and against the project. And I believe we do have the applicant here as well, if you have any questions.
Okay. Does staff have anything else to add? If not, we'll go to the applicant and then we'll go to discussion and questions from the membership. Anything else, Jessica?
I don't have anything. Michelle, did you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Well then, would the applicant please introduce themselves and tell us about the request for continuance of the certificate of non-conforming use, realizing this is an advisory thing. There's not a vote, but we'd appreciate any information.
Okay, well, my name is Patricia Tillman. I'm the owner of Two Sisters Recycling, and we've been located in the parking lot of the Save Mart grocery store now for 9 years. And this is my second time actually applying for the non-conforming. The first time, well, of course, I'm still there, so I did pass. So again, here I am 4 years later, reapplying with the hopes that I'll pass again. And basically, that's all I have. Nothing has really changed with my business over the past 4 years, besides being busier than ever. We pretty much operate the same and try and keep the area as neat and clean as we possibly can while maintaining good customer service. And we just, we do what we're there to do and try and be good neighbors to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, as Jessica mentioned, we had heard this item about 4 years ago or so, well, maybe a little bit longer because of the year off from COVID here. I'm not sure if my fellow advisory council members have had a chance to read some of the emails that were forwarded to us today. I'd like to open it up for comments or questions from my fellow members.
This is Member Lineback, and I was, because I, live in Rosemont, and I'm on the next door for Rosemont. It was an item that generated a lot of comments, and it was a genuine mix of comments that people who think that it provides an important community service, and others who thought it was eyesore. I have to say that from my perspective, it often looks like a trash heap over there. I also believe it provides a service that the community needs. There were some comments about perhaps moving it to a less visible location. And I'm wondering if the applicant has anything to offer regarding that.
Actually, I do, and I should have mentioned that when I spoke earlier. I had a conversation with the owner of the property 2 weeks ago. And initially, well, my gosh, when we applied for the non-conforming 4 years ago, I had the very conversation with him about moving indoors to avoid having to go through this every 4 years. So that went nowhere 4 years ago. But again, I talked with him 2 weeks ago and brought up the issue again. And he really appears to be on board with it now, having us move indoors. Now, what that's going to require if we're able to do it, I have no idea. I've never leased a building. I've never operated indoors, but I'm more than willing to give it a shot. Because I agree. I mean, we're working outside. We're extremely busy. We keep it as neat and clean as we can, but there's a lot of activity going on in the parking lot. I mean, we're busier than ever. We've had recycling centers near us that have shut down, so we're getting the overflow of their customers as well. So I think, and I'm hoping and praying that moving indoors would solve the problems.
So are you talking about one of the empty storefronts in the Rosemont Plaza?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. What kind of negotiations actually then, if that's the case, are going on? Because this is a renewal. I don't see an expiration date, but it's a renewal for the current location.
Exactly. I have not begun applying for the new certification. Again, this is all new to me. I don't even know what it's going to all entail. And we've talked, and I said 2 weeks ago, it's probably more like a week and a half ago. And I do know the owner has a lot going on right now with new tenants moving in. So I really don't want to be a burden to him and keep pressing the issue. But it is a very, very important issue to me and everyone else involved. So with that being said, I will revisit this on Monday, give him a call to see, what his decision is and how do we move forward with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a reply to that, the what is this called? General business license. It would have the renewal expiration date as 4/30/2024. So there's still a sunset type of provision on this. I don't know if that changes if it goes indoors or not. That would help alleviate a lot of concerns for sure. Other comments from other folks on the council?
Moment.
Okay. I'm just curious. I was on CPAC when this came through 4 or 5 years ago. Were any of my fellow council members on CPAC at that time?
I was.
That was Chris?
And Maurice. Yeah.
It was both of us.
Oh,
yeah.
So we've seen, 3 of us have seen this before.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what other particular issues. Do we have anyone? I do have one comment, but do we have anything from the public on the phone or anything that wasn't entailed in the emails?
No, we do not have any verbal comment at this time for item number 2.
Okay. Well, we need to make sure that those emails are forwarded to the planning director, correct?
Yes, those comments were already forwarded to when they were sent out to council members. They were also sent to planning staff as well.
Well, I have two things that I think we need to note in our minutes here. One is that our member representing Rosemont, Terry Leinbach, has said that it's been a real, correct me if I'm wrong, Terry, it's been a real mixed bag, pros and cons, support and non-support for this issue on the Nextdoor app. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so it's that way. My comment is that it seems that some of the concerns that were listed in the email that we received this afternoon, we were copied on several emails from concerned neighbors. It's almost at a similar situation as 5 years ago, is that would homeless and vagrancy and all those issues, it doesn't seem like there's a real nexus to show that it's the recycling center that's the cause of all this. That if the recycling center went away, I don't think that's going to solve the homeless problem in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry to say that, but I don't know that that would alleviate a lot of the concerns regarding the recycling center. Another question I'm rambling here, but not really. Another concern that came up just now in my head, the planning director needs to know the calls for service in the area by the sheriff's department. How many calls for service in that area? And that could be a look back for, 6 years, for the last 6 or 7 years. Punch in the GPS and see how many calls for service have happened in that area, and that could inform some of the concerns. My hunch is that I don't know if this recycling center went away. I really don't know that would alleviate the very deep and kind of widespread social concerns that are affecting all of us. That's my 2 cents. I need to give my fellow members more opportunity if you'd like to weigh in.
I'd agree with you, Gay. I think that you've pretty much said kind of the general consensus. At least I feel. We dealt with this a number of years ago. It seems like it's pretty. How do I say it? I guess I feel like, I actually read through all the emails today when we got through them, and I kind of feel like nothing worse has happened. There wasn't a worse outcome. There wasn't a better outcome. It was just kind of what everyone was kind of expecting to see. I understand the concerns of the placement of it. The placement of it where it's located there in the parking lot is kind of is a little bit of an eyesore. I mean, most of the other ones I see around town are usually behind shopping centers or in the back parking lot. So that does make it a little unique in that sense. But like you said, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that things are going to magically change because this recycling center goes away. And on the flip side of that, I don't think every problem associated with what people would be associated with this recycling center are because of this recycling center. There are a lot more deeper systemic issues. So, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and this is Member Thomas, and I was thinking the same thing. And I mean, you could look pretty much anywhere in Sacramento, California. You kind of, still the problem. But I think that the other thing is that, the applicant is also a member of the community as well, and not to put, one person's, interest over anyone else, but just that, they are a member of the community. And I remember the testimonials, on their side where it was helping a lot of people. And again, just to echo what everybody else has been saying is that I don't really think them leaving will alleviate the issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One halfway suggestion, and again, this is, obviously just a suggestion. Trying to move indoors would be really great. in the interim, or if indeed that's not feasible, some strategically placed planters, or I don't want to say cones because those end up looking weird, but some sort of delineation for traffic flow, like for drop off and weighing and drop off and pickup for the purchase of the drop off. That could go a ways to alleviate a sense of mini chaos that happens with that parking lot. However, also that parking lot is a little weird because you have the one-way business going to the drive. At least it was there pre-COVID. The drive-up ATM for the bank there. There's a lot of confusion just in the regular traffic flow, and that could be, well, again, suggestions that the owner could take a look at it. Maybe county staff could perhaps have a few suggestions on how to mitigate, how to improve the traffic flow, not just for the recycling center, but for the other issues involved there, like you can only get out at the light on the east end type of thing. Mm-hmm. So anyway, those are random thoughts.
Well, I
thought they were good suggestions.
Oh, sorry about that. I do want to mention, and bear with me, I am directionally challenged. What we have done since COVID first started, we have assigned actually an area for our customers to park in. So if you're facing our bin, customers are only allowed to park to the left of our cargo container. In the center, which is right in front of our container, my staff sorts the material. So customers no longer just bring their material to us. We issue numbers. They stay by their vehicle until we're ready to get their material and sort it. Once their number is called, my staff goes to the vehicle, brings the material over into the center area, and we do have cones to identify what our sorting area is. They bring the material over, my staff sorts it, and then the customer comes up and gets paid. So we are trying to keep control, better control, and have a handle on the customer flow and keep all of the customers that are waiting to be serviced in one area. So we have definitely made improvements. I can't say they solve all the problems, but they definitely help with the flow of service and the appearance of the recycling center.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
The conversation here.
And Gabe, I could interject. Yeah, this is Harriet again. I concur. As I was reading the email and the additional comments about the other problems in that shopping center, I could not see that they would all go away if the recycling center went away. So I did think it was a nexus that, it could only be proven by the recycling center going away. But as was noted by another member, there's a homeless issue throughout the region, and it is not caused by recycling centers. So, even though that, constituted quite a bit of the negative comments, I just don't see the actual nexus between the two.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Terry. Are there any other additional comments on this? Well, in closing, I just encourage the applicant to harass our county staff, or are there other measures to help improve traffic flow, or a little design improvement on the way things look. That's always possible depending on the budget. So if there are no further comments, I think we can move on to miscellaneous matters.
Yes, and this is Darrell. I just want to state for the record that there are still no verbal public comment for item number 2.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Yeah, there was quite a string of emails. That we went through earlier in the day. I appreciate everybody's comments. Thank you. So we're going to move on to miscellaneous matters. Do we have any staff updates?
Yeah, this is Jessica Brandt. Again, I have a couple for you. The first one is you should have received an email earlier notifying the CPAC of an upcoming board hearing that is looking at renaming Zinfandel to Eagle's Nest, the Independence at Mather area. I don't know if anyone had any questions on that or concerns, but we wanted to make sure that everyone saw that. As a note, I believe the time of the hearing item is 11, not 10:45, as it said. Check that. Late breaking update on that one.
Okay.
Okay, so the email that went out should say 11. The notice will say 10:45, but it is 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Any questions or concerns about that one?
No, not really. It kind of makes sense. It does kind of seem a little awkward there, but I can see it going either way. But
yeah,
but
I guess apparently it was a request by some Independence at Mather residents during the Mather self-entitlement process, so that's why it's going through now.
No, I remember that. So are you okay with that, Maurice?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can see it going either way. It did kind of seem weird, even though it's, connected. But, it did seem kind of weird for whatever.
Yeah. Well, you can make. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm done.
Well, you can make sure that email gets put out to your community association so they can, if they choose, they can participate in that meeting. That'd be good. All right, Jessica, are there any further staff?
The only other one is I heard that, Chair Jones, you might want a little bit of a report back on some of the housing zoning code updates that I think I brought last month to the CPAC. Was there anything specific you wanted to go over?
Yes and no. A lot of that report had a lot of, and it's okay, I can understand a draft of a draft type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when will there be a formalized draft that's put out?
Yes. So we wrapped up our outreach to the CPACs a week and a half ago, and we're working on putting together our draft for the Planning Commission workshop. And that's where we're going to have the actual strike through, track change documents. And the plan, unfortunately, it looks like to make the timing for one of the Planning Commission meetings work with where we are now with our documents. We're looking like mid-August as opposed to July. We were hoping for July. I don't think we're going to make that. So we're looking at August. We'll have a staff report that goes through sort of the high-level review. We'll have that strike-through document that'll dive into all the nitty-gritty. And then we plan to have kind of like a comparison document that goes through, what our code says now for all the different things we're looking at, and then what we're looking to change. So kind of marrying in between the high level and the really nitty-gritty.
So you think that draft is going to be ready by mid-August, do you think?
The draft should be ready by early August. And then, once it's ready and everything is published in advance of the Planning Commission, then notices will go out to all the CPACs so that you guys can take a look at it and join in the conversation. And there's we're going to try to cast a pretty wide net for noticing the workshop, because we do want it to be a workshop. We want everyone to kind of have a chime in. So.
Mm-hmm. Now that was my question, this timeline, because, well, I tried to explain that to the documents that we received. I tried to go through that and explain some of those issues at my community association, and I couldn't pull it together. So I do need a final draft, so to speak, a comparison, a little bit more sort of straightforward, 1, 2, 3, 4, subsection A, B, C, D type of thing, where one can look at the changes, can readily look at the changes and do some evaluation on it.
Exactly.
That was my main concern, because the words like maybe or probable or looking at, that's not
right.
definitive. Good start. Don't get me wrong, good start, but yes, and please. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say we did get good feedback at that higher level, going out to all the CPAC, so it was helpful in narrowing down what we're moving forward with. So I think what you'll be seeing at the end will make sense after the discussions we had on just the topic areas.
Well, I appreciate that, and I don't know about my fellow members, but I know I'd like to be more precisely informed about what are the proposed changes, and it would be very helpful in all the outreach, I think. And to please, as soon as possible, before the Planning Commission's workshop, to get this out to CPAC members and community associations and whomever's on your email list, so that folks have some time to go through it. That would be greatly appreciated.
Understood.
Any more questions for Jessica on this or additional staff updates?
This is Member Lineback. I apologize for missing the last meeting. I didn't have an alert on my phone, and just so I apologize. But one thing, I know you've already given the presentation, but does anyone know the answer? It sounded like it was saying that these multiple housing units going into low density areas wouldn't exceed the density standards for those areas. Am I misunderstanding that?
No, you have it exactly. The whole idea is providing flexibility, not necessarily additional density. So we're opening to other sort of product types is what we're saying. But no, it's 7 units per acre. It's 7 units that are multifamily, 7 units that are single family, 7 unit. Well, I guess you can't do 7 unit duplexes, but yeah, same density, just a variety of product types.
So they'll infill areas that haven't reached that density level?
So the thought behind it was that we hear from developers, especially people who are looking at, like the small infill sites where it's a larger piece of property and it could be split into 2 properties, and then you could put 2 single family homes on them, but the financials don't work to do that, and it would actually work better to just put a duplex on that same site. And so it's more of those sorts of situations where you would have someone who could come in and do that duplex rather than going through a map in order to get 2 units on that site.
Okay.
Does that
Thank
answer
you.
the question?
It does. I appreciate that.
Okay.
And I want to chime in. I appreciate Terry's question because I had the same concern. I wasn't quite sure about, how that was going to work. But if the cap, if the density cap is the cap, that's not going to change. So you'd have to have it. I appreciate you explaining that a little bit further, Jessica. Thank you.
Good.
Are there any other council member comments?
Not at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Chris, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
And this is Darrell with the clerk of the board. And just for the record, there was no public comment for item number 3, which was the staff update. And there's no public comment for item number 4, which is your council member comments.
Well, you just took care of number 5.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'll speak for all my friends on the council here that will wait with bated breath for that light reading, bedtime reading for the draft.
I promise it'll put you to sleep.
But in seriousness, please get that out to us as soon as you can. I think that's a key part. Otherwise, people feel like you're kind of fudging if you do it at the last minute.
Very true.
Okay. For the good of is there anything else for the good of the order, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Thanks so much, everyone, for grabbing some time and your participation tonight. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Thank you.
Thank you.